Hello everyone. Hope you're all doing good today. How's it going? I'm expecting everyone to be interactive in the chat box because today's session will mostly be theory rather than practical stuff. We're going to check out the design process on a high level and all the steps that we need to cover. So let's start. What do you consider product design to be? What would you expect it to be intuitively? It might be helping users, companies, businesses, your client, or some philosophers might argue that it's going to help the whole humanity. And how do we do that? We do that by shaping perception, values, brand, and identity. And exactly how we do that is called product design. So what motivates product design? Money, maybe? Should not be money. Hopefully, everyone here has some passion for product design. And how do we shape perception? That might be because of features, that might be because of how we structure the information, that might be because how the user flows are constructed, how the visuals are built, how the interactions are made together. And the study of these are visual design and interaction design. All of these combined come under UX design, which means that UI design is a part of UX design. So technically there is no such thing as UI or UX design. So they're not interchangeable terms. UI design is a part of UX design. Same for interaction design. It is also a part of UX design, but some people choose to go into it in a more specialized way and call themselves interaction designers. So make sure you're familiar with the terminology. And you might have come across this term, design is easy. It's a subjective term. It is easy, I would say. Yes, it is easy, but only as long as you know what you're doing, only as long as you're familiar with the concepts, have empathy about your customers and users, have common sense, good aesthetic taste, and most importantly, you have attention to detail, which means you will be able to distinguish between stuff that other people will not. That's what makes you a special designer. And if you want to master all of this stuff, you need a clear structured plan and a path ahead of you. And that is why learning design is different from learning other skills like programming. And that's why boot camps like Zuri are very helpful in your career. And here we see the generic UX design process. You might have come across this process a lot of times. And it is correct to an extent. There are some things that are not aligned well. We'll cover that in the coming slides. And if you look at this on first glance, it might seem all right. Research, empathize, create, test, develop. It's all right, vague, but once we look at the goals of product design, we'll understand why it's not exactly right. So what are the goals for product design? The main thing is utility. Is your app or website able to help users make a certain decision or perform a certain action? So let's consider a ticket booking website. Is your app or website able to clearly help users book that ticket that they're trying to book? And how efficiently is it working that way? And your design also needs to be thorough in the sense that all the edge cases are considered well. The user is given good feedback. And what would set apart a good design from a bad design is its impact. How much impact can it make in the user? Is it different from other websites? Is it unique? Does it stand out? Does it make an impression on the user? And aesthetics is the thing that will help you do this. Moving on, attention to detail. Why do you need attention to detail? This is the thing that will help you look at all the edge cases. And this is the thing that will set you apart from non-designers. So if you take a programmer for an example, they might just say, does this feature work? Does this feature help the user? And that's it. But you would look at the edge cases. What happens when the payment goes through but they haven't booked a ticket? What happens when there is ambiguity in the design? What would help remove that ambiguity? What would help communicate better with the user? These are the things that come under attention to detail. And after understanding these goals, we can go through and redefine the process. So the screen slide is not going with the explanation. Give me 1 minute, guys. I don't think there is much we can do. Let me just join with another device. Is this visible to everyone? Coordinator, can you just confirm? Is my screen visible?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Cool.
But we can't see your slides again. It's not the slides are showing.
We're just going through a whiteboard session right now. So we'll go through and figure out the UX design process. And so after understanding our goals, what do we have to do? This is the process that I normally follow with all my clients. The first step will be to understand and then research, analyze, design, implement, and evaluate. This is a little bit different from the generic UX design process, but we'll go through it together. What does understand mean? You have to understand your client, their requirements, and their aesthetic taste, what they expect to be the outcome of their design, their communication style. And this is the kind of stuff that will help you make a good lasting impression on your client and the thing that gets you referrals. And after that, you have to understand your target audience, what they like, what they don't like. Are they aware of the technology that you're using? Things like that. And you'll understand the deliverables. What exactly do you have to deliver to the client? What do you have to design? And you will make a timeline according to that. After that, you'll jump to the research. How do you find out about stuff? How do you find out about what to do better, what you can improve upon your competitors? You'll talk with your users, which is called user interviews. And you'll take user surveys. These things will help you get a better understanding on what the users are lacking, what kind of stuff that would set your product apart from your competitors. Coming to competitors, you'll also research your competitors directly, like going through their websites, checking what features they're offering, checking how they're marketing their product, how their copy is, what visual directions they're using. And you'll also check out what they're doing right versus what they're doing wrong. And that will help you understand what you have to do in your product. And after that, you'll make a style guide. And before making a style guide, you need a visual direction. And that's where researching visual directions becomes important. In this phase, you'll probably make about 2 or 3 mood boards. Mood boards are just collection of images that you'll present to your client to get a better understanding of what they're looking for and what the user is looking for. And after you finalize one of those, you will go through and then analyze stuff. What does analyze mean? You will talk to user groups, divide the users into multiple groups, segregate them, and then figure out what kind of stuff that each user group likes. And this will let you make a user journey. And I'll also like to add another step, which I call psych flow chart. This might sound complicated, but it's very simple. You just go through all your pages in your app or website and then figure out what kind of energy that it gives to the user. So if there is a sign up screen, they'll have to enter a lot of stuff, which means their energy goes down by a little bit. If there is a reward screen, that means their energy goes up a little bit. And this will help you make sure that the user is motivated throughout the journey of your app. And how do you come up with features that are distinguishing your product? It might be coming from competitor analysis, but it will also come by analyzing the gaps between your product and users. Is there something that the users want? Is there something that the user wants to achieve that is not being presented by other businesses, or that is not being presented by your product already? And after you have all of this, you'll make a solid list of features, and that feature set will help you design your information architecture. Okay, let's wanna rap again. Hit up on the name.
Photographer's delight.
Oh, I look so cute.
Yeah, all of this stuff will help you make information architecture. And information architecture is basically when you segregate all your information that your app needs to present in the form of different pages. So you'll make a flow of all the pages that you have in your app and then list down what all information needs to be in each page. And this will help you make wireframes. It is basically when you make the final app, but without using any fancy graphics. You just make boxes and rectangles in place of text and images. And this will help you evaluate your flow, your features, and help you talk with users and then figure out what pain points they have. And these will be converted into hi-fi screens. And depending on your client, they might want a style guide that will go with this. And again, you'll add interactions to this by prototyping it. These interactions will make sure that the user is well communicated. These might be animations or just little haptic feedbacks or something like that. And after you're done with all of this, you can either prototype it. This will go into the implement stage, or you can talk to users. Again, this will go into evaluate, user interviews, and then iterate on your design again. And when you implement it, you have to make sure that the developer handoff is done well. And that you have continuous feedback loops. So you have to make sure that there is a constant way of getting feedback. That might be from metrics, which will also go into evaluate. You look at the metrics, look at the amount of use, look at the amount of time spent by each user, and then evaluate your product. And you can also do alpha beta testing if you have a real client. And this covers basically the whole design process. Again, you have to make sure and keep in mind that this process is very flexible and that you don't have to stick to this. So there is not necessarily a rigid structure that you have to follow for every client. Each use case is different. And yeah, if you have any doubts right now, just drop them in the chat. We'll go through more examples for this in the coming minutes. I'm checking the YouTube chat for any questions. No questions? A/B testing means alpha beta testing. It is basically when you have two versions of your design that you give to production, and they will measure the amount of use and traffic that come into each of them, and then figure out which one is the better one. Will you show how to make timelines? This class is only for learning about the process, and it might be in the upcoming classes. What is hi-fi screens? Hi-fi screens means high fidelity screens. That is when you have finalized the visual direction and doing the final screens. Developer handoff basically means that you give all the assets that you've used in your design and communicate with the developer to make sure that they understand how they have to develop it. Can we see an example of a wireframe? Yeah, we'll go through them. Any more questions? Yeah, most of these steps collectively are called design thinking. Metrics will be about when you deploy your website or app into the real world, you'll get tons of data, what users are liking, what they don't like, how much engagement are you getting, how many people are clicking a certain button, how many people are scrolling through the pictures, things like that. How do you do user survey? You basically identify the most challenging things that you are facing with your design. That might be things like identifying the real features that people need, figuring out the pain points of users, checking how many people use which competitors app, things like that. Site flow chart. It's basically when you just make a list of all the pages and then figure out how much energy is devoted or gained by the user during that page. So if you have a page that is full of input fields and asking for a lot of information, it consumes a lot of energy for the user. And if you have a page that will let them know that they're getting a certain reward, that will basically boost their energy. So you have to make sure that there is a balance of this. So to make sure they're motivated throughout the whole process. Lo-fi means wireframes, hi-fi means the final screens that will be deployed into production. Lo-fi will just be lacking color or not having a particular font. It is just to make sure that you have an idea of the priority and hierarchy of elements. The client might monitor the metrics and then give access to the designer and the developer. Should the designer carry out the research, or this should be done by the UX designer? Product design is basically the same as UX design and the process coincides. So No matter which designer you are, you have to do this stuff. Design thinking and product design, what's the difference? These terms have a very subtle difference, and that goes for most of the terms in UX design. Design thinking refers to how you think through a problem, how you solve it, how you come up with, how you implement a solution. Uh, I think we've answered enough questions. Uh, let's move on to a demo project where I'll just go through the process of how we ended up with the solution. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Cool. So this was a project that we did in our HNG days, which is called Fund My Laptop. And this is a certain wireframe of the dashboard. Wireframes might even look like just sketches on a little paper, but this is what me and our team came up with before settling on the style guide and the final design. As you can see, there are no visual elements, there are no graphic elements. It is just to give us an idea of the information that needs to be on there, the hierarchy that needs to be there, what kind of action should be there. And after we completed this, we made a style guide. Yeah, we made a style guide. We chose some colors. We made the input fields, drop downs, buttons, all the elements, and then jump to the hi-fi pages. As you can see, a lot more color, a lot more structure. And this is what is called a hi-fi page, and which will be implemented into the final product. Are there any more questions? I don't think there are any more questions. So let's try to design something live. We'll go through the process, we'll go through the research, and use our findings to make a meaningful website. I think you guys had an assignment on redesigning the ticket booking page for Nigerian Railways. So let's try and do that now live, and following the understand, research, and analyze process, we'll try to understand the client and the target audience first. Since this is a hypothetical project, we don't really have to do that. And Let us go through some competitive websites of time booking platforms. And while going through these, I'll try to note down the stuff that I feel is good in some websites and the stuff that I feel bad. So for this particular website, I feel like the aesthetics are good, but there are too many elements on the screen. Going to the next one. This one is really bad in all respects. Let's write down what is bad. Again, there are too many elements. The action is very clear. It is to book a website, book a ticket. And let's go to another web page. I don't like the amount of ads. And yeah, now we have a list of stuff that we like and a list of stuff that we don't like. And after this, we can make sure that we come up with a list of features that is good for our product in our particular use case. And then research the Google direction. So we can go to Dribbble or Behance and check out some websites that we really like. And I'll just bring them onto Figma here. At what point during the design process? Okay. At what point during the design process do you get back to the client with what you have? It depends on the client. Normally, I like to do a weekly catch-up session with the client and then discuss everything that I found out in the week or designed in the week. And some clients prefer to do a monthly catch-up. Some clients prefer to give them daily updates. So it's really subjective. How do you go about the A/B testing in design? So when you're unsure about some particular decision, just note it down and try to incorporate it in the beta design or the alpha design, and you can use it later during production to check whichever one is better. We make style guide after wireframes. That really depends on you. In my case, I just do the style guide whenever I'm bored of research. So you can't really do research for long stretches of time. So do a little bit of research, do a little bit of style guide, and then go back to research, etc. What is user grouping all about? So let's take in our instance, we're making a ticket booking website. We might have different groups of users with different awareness levels. There might be youth that is already familiar with technology and design, uh, and they know how to book a ticket, they know how to pay, and all of that. And their thought process will be different compared to another user group, which might be elders that don't know how to use, but they're curious, trying to get into technology, and they might be trying to book a ticket. So we have to make sure that our website is intuitive for both of them. How often in design process should you check in with your client? Again, we're really subjective on the project. Whenever you need some data or whenever you need some input from the client, feel free to go to them, ask them. And most of the time, and all of the time, they should not hesitate to reply you, because it is for their good in the end. So I'm just getting some screenshots of designs that I think are good here. And after that, we can go ahead and design a hero section. This hero section will give you an idea on what kind of style you should go for when you're doing the style guide or when you're doing more pages. So if we check this website, Paytm, they're basically trying to promote their other services, which are mobile, electricity, DTH, all that stuff, along with just booking a train. So they're actively trying to push other services, and it is good for their business. But the way that they have incorporated it here is very obtrusive and distracting from the actual goal of the website. So, and I also like this left navigation thing that they've included here. And I think that could be really useful in this case. So what I'll do is I'll just move that stuff over to the left and convert it into something like this so that it is clear to the user, and they can just collapse it when they don't want it. I have a little list of fonts that I like to keep track of, and I update it every day with new fonts that I find. And whenever I can't find a good font off the top of my head, I just go through this list. So let's see what I have. So on first glance, this might seem like it's an okay title, but when you look at it, it does not give you any context into what the website is about. It just says, where do you want to go today? But it doesn't give any context as to this is a ticket booking website for trains. So you have to make sure that it's really straightforward.
Hi Chandan, can you hear me? If you can
Yeah,
hear me, we can't hear you. Are you talking? And we
I
could not
can hear
hear
you.
what you are saying.
Hello.
Yeah? Were you saying something? We could not hear you. We are just seeing your screen.
I'm just trying to design this.
Alright. If possible, maybe you can I don't know, just kind of explain whatever you're doing so people can
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
what
sure.
you are doing because they were not hearing anything.
Or should we separate this into a time lapse or a recorded class?
I don't know. I don't know.
Mentors,
I
what do
mean,
you
you
think?
can go on. You can go on, but you can as well be explaining whatever you are doing so they can follow along. You understand? Because we are just designing and we are not really hearing from you, so it was somehow to everybody.
Hmm. All right. So I'm just trying to make a compact navigation bar on the left where we can include the different offerings from the company. So I just noticed that they have an announcement section. So we'll try to include that here.
So everyone, just try to follow along what he is doing. Just put your mind to what he's doing. Just look closely at what
Yeah,
he is
I'm just
doing.
trying to figure out the best place to put this announcements panel in so that it's not intrusive but still noticeable.
So I think the point is, as you are looking at what he is doing, try to understand and flow along. He's showing you product design process. So understand the thought process, the way he's moving things around. You just don't put things in one place just the way you feel it should be. You have to move things around, move things up and down to actually get the perfect balance, perfect weight. So just follow what he's doing, try to understand his thought process as he's designing, see what he is doing, ask yourself questions. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing this way? Because that's the way he is asking himself where he should put things and how he should arrange things. So I think after everything, he's going to explain it better, but then just put your mind to what he's doing and just follow through. Then when other people come and they complain that they are not hearing anything, also tell them that they should just focus and follow through on what he is designing. It's a process, so just follow the process.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, I'm trying to find a layout that is not too common, but still does the job that the company or the product actually wants to do. I'm starting with what I know. What I know is there needs to be this announcements panel. There needs to be a place that where they can promote their other stuff. I put it on the left here. I know there is a place that there needs to be a place where they can uh, maybe promote their new offers. And there needs to be a main section where the user can actually book the tickets. So I'm trying to put the announcements panel here, put the nav bar here, tickets panel here, and this will be the main hero section. You can see it still does the job. Same thing as this website or this website, but we're just arranging the information in a better way, figuring out better layouts, better typography, all that stuff. Yeah, wireframes are supposed to help with this. Since this is just one page or one hero section that I'm doing for this call, I'm just not using any wireframe and going with the flow. I'm adjusting the colors here so that they're not too harsh. And trying to incorporate the brand colors also wherever possible. Again, trying to balance everything so that everything looks right. Let's steal the input fields from the style guide that we did the other day. I'm trying to find ways to incorporate accent elements or brand elements into this panel because it might look a little bit plain with just this input fields. I really like the way they've incorporated this today, tomorrow, and the calendar feature for the departure date. So I'll replicate that. Uh, if you look here, today, tomorrow, it's not really clear when the date is. So I'll just add another text here that represents the date. So previously this was just a heading, but since we're using the same color for the button, I'm trying to use this same color for all interactive elements. And I just changed that heading to this selectable thing. Consider it like a slider or a menu. Initially, this location will be selected. These two will be uh, lower opacity like this. And right now you can book your ticket by searching for location or the destination that you want to go. And if you click on this train name, you can search by the train name or number. And if you click this, you can search by your ticket number. So trying to keep everything consistent and use the same color for interactive elements. And we might actually be able to use the same color for this one also. I see some confusion among if you should create a style guide before or after this. Style guide helps when you're doing something on a larger scale. When you're trying to explore, it's basically much better to just do it. Just create 1 or 2 pages, figure out what kind of style that you would like. Because honestly, if you're making a style guide, you wouldn't really know what kind of style to settle upon until you are finished with the design or the website. So just play around, see what you like. And then after that, once you're done with the selection, you can go on and make the style guide. I think we're done here. It needs more graphic elements. It needs some patterns maybe, or some images overlaid on top, some more information that people might want to add. Whenever you come across a website like this, it's really important that you have some social proof attached to it. So put some numbers, maybe 8,000 live visitors, over 2,000 tickets booked, or something like that. And that will add a lot of credibility to the business. I'm going through the colors, trying to check if everything is consistent, that all the shades are correct. And this is almost the final design. So add some more social proof, some more features in the bottom, some cards to show their features, something like PNR status, live train status, all this stuff. And we'll be good to go. Are there any questions in what you just observed? I know I wasn't talking much, but you should be able to grasp most of the stuff by just observing. So if you have any questions, just let me know in the chat. We'll go through them. Frame size 1440 by 810. Whenever I create a frame, I make sure that it is in the 16:9 aspect ratio and not 4:3, because the most used aspect ratio for desktops is 16:9. Font name is called Gangster Grotesque. Did not use layout grid. Duplicated by holding Alt and dragging the element. Created the gradient by just color picking the colors from the Paytm logo. Can we just decide to use the color from the website and ignore the one we create? Depends on the use case. I already joined two rectangles to move them at once. Hold shift and select elements. You can select multiple elements at once, and when you move one, both will move. Login and register are both secondary because you only need one CTA in the whole screen. If you make the login button the CTA, then the search trains will lose its value. You have to put only one CTA in the whole screen. That's the whole point of having a CTA. So today is not a primary button, but it is the selected one. So we have to make sure that it is visible. Can layout grid be used in place of spacers? Wherever it is possible, yeah, you can. No subframes. If you exclude auto layout, then no subframes. For your headline, left, center, or right, what alignment style is that? Since it is a headline, you can make it however you want. I'm just trying to make it interesting. Just set to left, but I used spaces to give some space in each line. Sure, let's click on the play button, see what happens. When designing a style guide, can we add outline buttons? Yes, that is up to you. The black line in the middle of the page is just a bug from the side of Figma. There is nothing wrong with the design. Yeah, illustration might make it better or might also ruin it based on how you implement it. I would say patterns are a better bet on using for minimal designs like this. Explain the date options. People just want to book a ticket for tomorrow or today or the day after tomorrow. And this will save them the effort of finding out the date and then entering it using the calendar. They can just click on the button. The mini project will be larger than this. This is just the hero section of one page. How do you incorporate redesign or rebranding of a web page? That depends on the client and how they want to roll it out. Some people will roll it out immediately for all users. Some people will slowly roll it out for 10% of the users in the beginning or 20% and keep on increasing that. The location section, it's just a text on top of a rectangle. Why does your nav bar have two buttons? Shouldn't one be primary and other be secondary at the least? In this case, we have a CTA that is attracting the attention. So I should just put two secondary buttons in the header. I think that's it for the questions. How long would a full project take? Considering the project will be about 5 or 6 pages and you have to follow all the research steps carefully, then it might take about a week to finish. For bigger projects, it might take long. For example, I worked on a project with about 500 screens and it took about 8 or 9 months from starting to finish. The client came to me with just a concept and we went through all the steps, talked to a lot of people, figured out all the features that we need to implement, figured out all the edge cases, market feasibility, all that stuff. And it's about to launch in a few months. On Figma, sometimes you drag elements from the right side under other elements or frames. Oh yeah, what happened was when I added a new icon. So let's say I've added this icon. This icon got added on top of this frame, but it is not inside the frame. So what I did is I just took it outside and then when you drag it back inside, it will go inside the frame. So if you look at the hierarchy on the left, this icon is outside the hero frame right now. And when you drag it inside, it will go inside the hero frame. You can do it manually also using just by dragging this into the hero. But I just like to drag it. Can there be more than one primary button on the landing page? Ideally, no. User journey mapping. You consider a user and consider a story that is tied up with them. So if there is a middle-aged person that does not know much about the internet that came to your website and trying to buy a ticket, what would they do? They would probably look at the hero section. They will try to find out elements that incorporate trust. They will try to find out social proof. They will try to find out that this website is not a scam. They will try to find out how the payments work, things like that. Just map all of them, draw a flowchart of their thought process, and you have a user journey map. I used a plugin called Remix Icon for the icons. Must the heading and body text always be the same font? No, you can have a primary font and a secondary font. And ideally, one of it would be sans serif and the other one would be serif. in case you're using different fonts. So if you use two types of similar fonts, that would not really go together. Can gradient be added to images? Yes, you can. Can we show mood boards to client for their preference? Yes. Animations will come under prototyping. You can check out some YouTube tutorials on how to prototype inside Figma. I think that is it. So the all of the things that we discussed till now consider about 80% of the design field. The rest of the 20% contain things about communication, empathy, persistence, enthusiasm, handling clients, managing your time, adapting to the situations, things like that. But the most important thing is this 20% will determine if you are going to set apart from your competitors as a good designer or not. So these technical skills and design skills will be obtained by most designers, and you'll have a tough time finding clients. But once you nail down the time management part, coming up with new solutions part, creativity, all that stuff, you'll truly enjoy design. You create style guides for every project you work on? Not at all. Only a select particular number of clients prefer to have a style guide, and the rest of them just want a landing page or a few pages. Style guides are made for especially large projects. Your navbar has two buttons. How come there are two primary buttons filled? One is just there to indicate interactivity and make sure that the user knows it is selected. It is not that big, so it serves its purpose. All right then. I think that is it for this class. We'll see you in the next one. All right then.
Thank you, Chandan. So that's basically how if you've been following from the beginning, you can rewatch and write down notes so that you can understand the process better. And also, please, I would advise for your mini project, start from watching this style guide, say videos, watch them, then watch the videos Mentor Jomi made, the one for the hero section design, watch it, digest it, understand it. Then from there, you can move to this one, try to understand this one too. And don't forget the video that explains the mini projects themselves. So please, both part-time and full-time, watch the videos, understand, and good luck. I'm hoping to see great designs from everyone. Bye for now.
Bye everyone.